That works.
Whoa.
Okay, we'll never push
We're back
that
in.
again.
Whoa.
So I've mentioned it before on the channel, but in case you're new here, I really like Blink. It is one of my favorite jumps in the game, mostly because of how safe it is. You can blink from one piece of cover to the next and still push forward on the enemy without them having the opportunity to snipe you. And for that reason alone, that is why I think it is one of, if not the most powerful jump in Destiny. Always have. You can check back in Destiny 1, was still saying the same thing. And nothing's changed. The past couple months I've been using Astrocyte Blink, but I added a new pairing with it, the Cloudstrike sniper rifle, since at some point Bungie buffed sniper handling to be a little bit faster. They also nerfed snapshot so that snapshot wasn't as necessary. And this is just now to the point where I think it is serviceable, so I'm using Cloudstrike. I blink from cover to cover, blink past enemy lines so they have to turn their back to my teammates, and if they decide to chase me, sometimes I hit a Cloudstrike headshot and sometimes it collats them. Watch this in the background right here with Blink. Such an anime moment. Blink through the Nova Bomb to hit him with my own, and it feels good when that type of thing happens. Full disclosure, Astrocyte Blink is currently bugged to the point where if you blink too often, it will remove the ability to slide, which is super annoying, and Bungie should definitely look into that to see what is causing it. But it has made me take off Astrocyte Verse in recent weeks, and now I farm for a Secant filament boots, which I hope to be doing a video on soon. But let's talk about it as if Astrocyte is working as intended for the rest of the video. I just wanted you to know that. So the benefits of Astrocyte Verse is that it improves your blink and adds another blink before it has an invisible cooldown. Another thing I can think of that Bungie could add is they could put a visual indicator that your blinks are used up or how many you have left, something like that, because sometimes it's not as intuitive as you think. Additionally, Astrocyte also keeps your radar visible while you blink, and it adds a plus 30 to the aerial effectiveness stat. Ideally, you want around 70. Astrocyte can easily put you in the 50 to 70 range, so this is good. The austringer that I use is going to be hand-built for aerial effectiveness in the future, but I'm just using my daily driver one in the background. My daily driver one includes snapshot and opening shot, ricochet rounds, and then max stability. If I were building for AE, I would obviously go Icarus Grip, Extended Mag, Air Assault, and then of course the Astrocyte Verse is plus 30, equaling a grand total of 78, which means I can jump to my heart's content and still hit all yellow numbers, so just remember that that exists if you want an aerial build. I personally value Snapshot over Air Assault on the Austringer, not because I'm not jumping frequently, but because the Austringer has an inherently low handling stat. I think all three stats, range, stability, and handling, are valuable on a hand cannon these days, but something has to give. In this case, the cost for me having very high stability and very decent range means that I have low handling, and I fixed that by using Snapshot to override the handling stat, giving me the fastest aim down sights. It still swaps and stows very slow, but it aims down sight really fast. Stability stat is kind of an all-in-one stat these days, similar to range. Stability reduces flinch and reduces bloom, which means you can spam your whole magazine down range and still likely see yellow numbers. Range is aim assist goodness and damage drop off, and then handling, like I said, is aim down sight speed and swap and stow speed. Another weapon you'll see me pair with Cloudstrike is the Escape Velocity SMG, which you can get from the Dares of Eternity, but at this point I think it's easier to get a submission machine gun from the Vow of the Disciple raid, so just use that if you want an alternative. I like this weapon because it has the hip fire perk plus the surrounded perk, which means I can blink in, get very aggressive, and have a fat damage boost. Unfortunately, something has to give, and in this case, it's AE. So Astrocyte Verse gives me that plus 30, which mitigates its inherently low AE, and it just becomes, okay. Ideally, you want to just hip fire from the air anyway if you're using submission, since it's an SMG and you're going to be close anyway. And if you're too far away, you probably shouldn't be shooting at somebody, especially in the air. So that's just the trade-off I make. And surrounded does come up more often than you would think. It is very, very good. Of course, you can pair anything you want with Astrocyte Verse, but I just like the aggressive playstyle that Blink can enable going from cover to cover to make any map an SMG map if you can blink well enough. Between choosing an SMG and a hand cannon though, if I'm playing with my best team, I usually like to use a hand cannon because it helps team shot a lot better, just more instant damage output from the three of us. However, if I'm playing alone or with not so strong teammates, maybe the SMG goes on because I have to defend myself from aggressive shotgunners more often than not. So now let's talk aspect and fragment decision making, starting with the aspects. Of course, I would say Child of the Old Gods is always on. That means you throw your rift, you get the child, you have a clear line of sight, shoot at an enemy, and the child follows them and weakens them, and it has a variety of effects depending on if you choose healing or empowering rift. If you choose healing, it will give you abilities back. If you choose empowering, it will give you health back. I think empowering is the better decision because I don't just want to sit in my rift. I want to throw my rift and then blink into enemy territory, using the child to get health back while I weave between cover and cover, being annoying, but most importantly, staying alive. The other aspect I run is the one that gives Devour if it's sixes or if I'm shotgunning, and if I'm playing with a very organized team, I like having the Overcharge grenades even at the cost of an extra fragment because it can shut down a revive and is very good area denial. If you rewind to the last 10 seconds, you'll see why I choose the grenade I choose, which is the Vortex grenade. It displaces my opponent by yoinking them, which usually breaks their line of sight, allowing me to get to safety. The melee offers a similar function by knocking them out of position. It also homes in on them around walls, and is a great shotgun cleanup tool to proc Devour. The fragments you choose depend a lot on the stat roll and quality of your armor, and what stat line you want to go for. Me personally, I go for as much discipline as I possibly can, and as much resilience and recovery. As usual, something has to give, and in this case, mobility. I used to run 10 mobility on Blink, but now with the resilience changes tying to flinch reduction, I go for as much resilience as I can. The thing that has to give is mobility and 1 point of resilience for me. So I'm sitting at 4 or 5 mobility with 9 or 10 resilience with always 10 recovery. So back to the fragment selection now that we know our stat line possibilities. If you want to keep it simple, just go for the one that boosts your neutral stats. Go for the plus 10 mobility, plus 10 resilience, and plus 10 recovery, and it should make reaching those stat lines a lot easier. If you want to get crazy with it, go with the one that adds explosions to ability kills, or the one that makes your grenade last longer if you're going overcharge. It's very useful, and it does come up. If you wanted to get crazy with the Devour fragments, Rift is probably the place where that loadout makes sense, since you need Devour to wipe a team under team balancing circumstances, and you need Astrocyte to have the mobility to score in the first place. Yes, the Devour fragments make a lot of sense in that case. For armor mods, I go both hand cannon targeting and sniper targeting, and if I SMG, I change stuff around to accommodate charge with light. I always have double unflinching on my chest piece, and I have hand cannon holster, because if I'm blinking around and just running from my opponent, I might as well just hold my sniper rifle, unless I'm on the SMG because it's a lightweight SMG, and that is a sprint bonus. Since my stat line usually gives me like 2 to 4 strength, I go with momentum transfer on the gloves so that if I hit somebody with a grenade, it cools down my melee. Finally, on the class item, I go double utility kickstart and high energy fire. If I happen to shotgun with this, I take the sniper targeting off my helmet, then I put on precision charge, and I put on kinetic siphon so that if I get headshot kills, it drops an orb, and if I pick that up, it equals charge with light. Specifically, the background footage shows me using my super suit, which substitutes having high discipline for high intellect, and it does get the job done, but recently I farmed out a better Astrocyte verse, and then unfortunately discovered there was a sliding bug, so I decided to go for secant filament instead, and here we are. So with all of that said, you should understand why I like Astrocyte verse, the arsenal I use with it, and how it enables me to be in very annoying positions for my opponent, which sometimes leads to Cloudstrike triple collats, and we end up just winning a round for free. I should have mentioned that Astrocyte verse is sometimes the fastest movement, which means you're making it to sniper lanes first, so you can set up so they're not pre-aimed at your head on a common spot. You get the time to take an off angle. And now with that being said, I think I have covered everything, so I'm going to shift to in-game sound now and let you enjoy the gameplay, but now you're primed for any future Blink video I show in the future, and I will refer back to this one because this is how I build my Astrocyte for success in PvP. So thank you everybody, hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for my voice, still a little sick with the big C, but feeling about 85%, so yeah, great, on the up. See y'all in the next one.
tried very hard to kill you, but you are like me, very stubborn. You are winning. Keep this up.
10 resilience, by the way.
Only one enemy is left. 1 minute left, my friend. Your enemies are down. Your ally is back in the fight. Let us see what you can do with a lead like this. Only one enemy is left. Surround is yours. Good fight. Match point. Your team stands tall. Finish strong.